It's the farthest we've ever traveled for the channel. Join Bear at the other end of the world, taking the bus across the breathtaking landscapes of Tasmania. Before we explore this Australian island, last time people were righteously disappointed I forgot to roll the intro, so let's do it. Bear's Tasmanian adventure starts on Bruny Island, a beautiful place off the shores of southeastern Tasmania, and home to many endangered bird species, and a colony of penguins, which sadly eluded Bear. After camping out and then hitching a ride, they got on a ferry to the main island of Tasmania. The ferry takes 20 minutes and is free if you don't have a vehicle. It sails quite frequently, every 20 to 40 minutes. The ferry docks in Kettering, from which you can take Metro Tas bus routes 415, 416, or 417 to Hobart, the capital and largest city of Tasmania. Hobart once had the first electric tram in the Southern Hemisphere, which opened in 1893. But today, all public transportation across the island is done by buses. Within the cities, like Hobart, bus service is provided by Metro Tas. This area, known as Nipaluna by the Aboriginal Tasmanians, became a place where the British sent prisoners to in 1804. Naming the town Hobart, it soon grew a booming whaling industry. There is a lot of history to absorb walking around, but the harbor is also worth a visit because Hobart is where both Australia and France launched their Antarctic missions from. It's a new day, and Bear, together with his college friend David, are now going to Launceston, the second largest city on Tasmania and located about 200 kilometers or 125 miles north of Hobart. And to get there, they are taking the bus, of course. They will be riding Route 702, which connects the Hobart Transit Center with Launceston.
Off to Lonnie.
And it is operated by the private company Kinetic under contract with the Tasmanian government. This ride costs $16.80, although you can get a discount using a smart card. On weekdays, the 702 and the 700, which largely follows the same route, run a combined 4 times a day. There are departures at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. On Saturdays, there are just 2 daily departures and 3 on Sundays. The journey takes 2 hours and 50 minutes. For all intermediate stations, a ticket must be booked in advance. Otherwise, the bus simply won't stop there. However, to ride to Launceston, you don't need a booking, but since the bus only runs a few times a day, you should probably just book to be safe. And passengers in wheelchairs are asked to book 48 hours in advance.
I actually had a dream one day that I knocked all those motorbikes off on the left hand.
Tasmania once had a passenger rail system. In fact, railways have existed on the island since 1871, when the first line opened in Launceston. The network expanded after that, and for decades, passenger rail was the way to move around the island, including on luxury commuter trains like the Tasman Limited. However, the last passenger trains ran in 1978. Today, a relatively small network continues to be used by freight trains, all which, interestingly enough, do not serve Hobart at all. Tasrail, which is owned by the Tasmanian government, exclusively runs the trains on the rail network. They have 27 locomotives in their fleet. Before Tasrail took over, the network was run by a series of private companies, including the Wisconsin Central Railroad, which I thought was kind of funny. While passenger train service is gone from Tasmania, the bus service is all managed and integrated by the Tasmanian government. And when I was doing the research for this video, I found it very easy to figure out what bus goes where, when they run, how much they cost. It's really good. Of course, it is a bit jarring to see how infrequent bus service is, but overall, the bus is a comfortable experience for under 3 hours, and $16 for 200 kilometers is great value if you ask me. Did you know that over 40% of the island's land is protected nature? Which makes sense. Tasmania is home to many unique animal species, including the Tasmanian devil. Bear even saw some wallabies, which of course are common across Australia. The name Tasmania comes from the 17th century Dutch explorer Abel Tasman, the man who named New Zealand. Now, the island is home to about 500,000 people, which makes it Australia's least populated state, although of course there are Australian territories with less people living in them. And about 40% of Tasmanians live in Hobart or the surrounding area. Now, this bus stops at some small settlements. There was a booked stop at Campbelltown, about 70 kilometers south of Launceston, and Campbelltown is home to barely 800 people.
Approximately 20 to 25 minutes before this coach is reloaded at about 1:05 to continue his journey up to Devonport today. The departure time for the Devonport bus will be at 1:15.
Soon, Bear and David arrive in Launceston. After exploring the remnants of the tram network, which ran here from 1911 to 1952, they headed to Cataract Gorge. To ride the chairlift with the world's longest single span? Nope, to swim in the cold water. Well, that is until they got grossed out by the eels brushing against them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome. We'll see you next time.